maybe this is you. You're talking to your friend, and then suddenly you realize, I have no clue what this guy just said. Just all the time, you just feel an extreme brain fog, and you cannot find a way to feel present when you're talking to other people, even with girls. Or maybe you're someone, when you read a book, you'll read a section, a passage, and then you have to go back and then reread it because you just completely forgot it. Like, you read the words, and then they just disappear out of your mind. Yeah, this is surprisingly common. So, today, I'm going to give you a 2-part plan to completely eradicate any difficulties focusing. It'll only take you 2 weeks. That's my guarantee. If you don't find any improvement at all in 2 weeks, then you're probably doing it wrong. Okay, so in the 2-part plan, the first section of it is cutting out instant gratification applications on your phone. So this could be like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, etc. And then the second part of it, which is a lot harder, I think, for some people, is meditation. So specifically mindfulness meditation, practicing the ability to recenter your thoughts. Okay, so first, let's start out with cutting out things like TikTok. So the reason that TikTok is so harmful is because you can scroll, you get some dopamine, and you're like, okay, I'm done with this video, so I'm going to scroll to the next one. And I don't really like this one. I need more dopamine. So I'm going to scroll to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So obviously this is an extreme time waster. You don't need me to tell you that spending your whole life on TikTok is a waste of time. But more specifically, the real issue neurologically is because you can just get dopamine whenever you want. If you don't know what dopamine is just the little happiness chemical that triggers when your brain does something difficult, even though in this case you readily have access to it. So in general, whenever you get dopamine from watching these TikToks, you'll get a lot of dopamine, like a ton. And your mind is like, okay, this makes me feel good. Why would I do anything else? Why would I choose to go to the gym when I could just get dopamine out of scrolling on TikTok? Why would I learn an instrument? Why would I learn a skill? Why would I do anything difficult when I can have the easier version of it? I mean, the obvious answer is that it's not very fulfilling. Let's say you're someone, you've always wanted to try playing an instrument, like a guitar, right? And the guitar, it can be pretty hard to learn, a lot of difficult intricacies to it. Unless you really love the guitar, there's no benefit to it because it's so difficult to learn it. Why would you spend the time learning something so difficult if you could just get easy reward, dopamine gratification by just scrolling a few reels? And I personally actually think that our addictions to things like TikTok, like Instagram reels, like YouTube, these are all forms of a downfall of our society. Think about the last time that you were at school, or maybe you're at work, and people, whenever they have a break, they'll just be on their phones, watching TikTok, choosing not to communicate with each other, and choosing to hide in their shell of feeling comfortable. Isn't that such a sad reality? Don't you find that depressing? If you don't, okay, go back to scrolling reels. But if you have a brain and you're like, yeah, that is kind of stupid. Like, why would someone choose to let themselves get devoured by their phone? The most important thing is to be conscious of it. So, a lot of people, they'll just open their phone and they get, a notification, and then they look on their phone, there's all this stuff to do, all this work. And then suddenly my finger is scrolling, I'm just on TikTok. How did this end up happening? And then they lie in bed there for like a few hours, waste a lot of time, but they don't even realize that they're wasting time. That's the confusing part. They snap their fingers, watch a few reels, and then suddenly 3 hours are gone. So, the most important thing is to be mindful of it. Whenever it's happening, you have to practice recognizing when you're on the app. I think a lot of people try things like making their phone gray or like black and white so that the reels don't excite them. The reason that doesn't work is because you view it, you're trying to, it's like you view the reels as like a trophy, and then you try and like paint the trophy brown to make it look less good. Like the issue is that you see it as a trophy to begin with. You see it as a good thing. Once you start to reframe your mind, you're mindful of the fact that it's not a good thing. And then you're mindful of when you're looking at all the reels and whatnot. That is when you start to make progress on conquering your addiction. And then also with that, it's also important to be practicing really difficult things. So going back to the example with the guitar, when you are practicing guitar, it takes a while to learn. You have to learn all these chords, and then learn all the placement for your fingers, and then all this other really tedious and specific things you have to do. And it takes a while, right? And it'll take a while before you can learn your first song. But when you regularly start practicing things that are hard, you regularly start learning things that are hard, you challenge your brain, that is when you'll also be able to avoid scrolling reels so much. Is because you'll realize that there's so much benefit in learning difficult things, doing difficult things, pushing your mind to the challenge, right? That you start to realize, hey, like, why would I be spending my time on my phone when I could just do something difficult that's also rewarding? Something that I can learn, maybe something tangible. Like if you start painting, right? It's really hard. It's a way better use of time than just watching TikTok. And the reason is because there's something you learn from the painting. And the second one is mindfulness meditation. I think in the self-improvement space, there's a lot of talk about this. Effectively, the idea is, let's say you have to do some work, right? Something for your job or some studying, and then you just get distracted. Like you'll be writing something, and then the next second your mind wanders elsewhere. You just completely lose focus of what you were thinking. Now, it's obviously, realistically speaking, you're always going to lose focus eventually, but the thing that mindfulness meditation helps with is getting you back to the original topic, because it's impossible to completely cut out all distractions in your mind. Realistically, for most people, maybe if you're like a Buddhist monk or something, you're so in touch with just everything around you, but that's pretty unrealistic for most people, and most people aren't Buddhist monks, right? But we can learn from their ideas of being mindful of their surroundings, observing things. It really helps you to reframe your mind such that whenever your mind loses focus, you immediately go back. So going back to the example of the person working, like if you're working and you start thinking, oh, what am I gonna have for dinner? Oh, I was thinking like that date went really well, or like I was spending a lot of time with this friend, we had a good conversation. You use your skills of mindfulness meditation. Your mind realizes, hey, we're not locked in. And then it brings you back into the feeling of locked in, that flow state. And if you want a guide on how to meditate, I think it's outside of the scope of this video, but I do plan on doing one probably during this week. So stay tuned for that. Well, I'm so lazy. Maybe I need these tips. Okay, just to recap. So the two-part plan. Number 1, reducing the amount of time that you use an app like TikTok, like YouTube. Just cut out the addiction. Number 2, meditate. So the combination of these two things will allow your mind to focus on practically anything. Once you cut out the instant dopamine from scrolling, and then you practice also bringing yourself back to be present in the moment, you will see significant gains. Like, obviously people talk about gains for muscles, but you'll see gains in your mind. You'll notice that your mind is able to focus better. And even outside of the world of school and work and studying and all this actually really helps a lot with when you're talking to other people. It's not just about doing work and then you lose focus, but then you get back into it. Having better focus for when you're talking to other people, it really helps you become more present with them. And If you can make someone feel that you are being present with them, that you actually care about what they're saying, you really give your full undivided attention to them. That really helps to become more charismatic. Okay,